Throughout history, there's always been a good majority that would say something could not be done. For thousands of years, after failed attempt at devising ways for man to fly, the common view was man can't fly. To the extent that if God meant for man to fly, he would have given us wings. Fortunately, there were those who examined the situation and found new ways to come up with a correct way for man to be able to fly, to the point to where it's so commonplace today we could barely imagine a world where we couldn't fly. This is true of so many things. Today, I say that we can find a more peaceful world, that we can avoid so much conflict and so much war. We just have to find another way. And yet, of course, there are those that would beg to differ, would suggest that it's a futile effort. But just like Martin Luther King, who felt certain that in a peaceful way he could bring about a world that is more equal, more equality, and he fought in a very peaceful way to that end. Yes, at the cost of his life, but the great changes he made, his efforts made the difference. He found a way. And it's what we've got to do. We cannot look back and repeat the same things that we've done, expect, of course, different results. We have thousands of years of history to learn from. We have thousands of years of recorded history to see how the human reaction has been to all these circumstances that led to war. And we need to stop reacting in the same way. 239 years of conflict. 239 years this nation has been in existence. Less than 2 decades of no conflict. Some would say that I look for utopia. Well, I strive for a more perfect world. There's no doubt about that. And I feel that we should all strive for that more perfect world. That more perfect world is not going to come through prayer. It's not going to come through any ritual. It's going to come through action and education. And though we may not be able to change the world for the better in our own lifetimes, we have to take that first step. We have to take the initiative to move forward, make progress, so that future generations can have a more peaceful world, can have a world full of less conflict, more equality, the same things that Martin Luther King fought for in a peaceful way, that he sought through his speeches to educate and to bring things to the surface that were thought and were really in some ways unheard of until he came along. This is what we've got to do today. Not for us in my age group so much as for future generations. We have to start preparing our youth for peace instead of preparing them for war. We have to look in the mirror and see what we can do. As Gandhi said, we have to be the change that we want to see in the world. And it's proven, just as man commonly flies today, the many things that we enjoy that at one time was seemed impossible are now commonplace, because there were those few that said, we just haven't found the right way to do it yet. We've got to keep seeking the right way to accomplish this. This is what we can do. So, and that is where I am. I don't expect to be some great individual that changes the world, but I want to be part of that. I want to live that out in my life, and I would hope that others would join in this effort to prepare the next generations for peace, not for war. To promote peace, to promote peacemakers over warriors. To stop sexualizing war and stop making heroes out of dead soldiers, and to make heroes out of those who push for peace and seek peaceful resolution, and educate our youth, not indoctrinate them with nationalism and religion and these forces that are so divisive in our world. It's not just about us. It's about this planet that we share with over 7 billion people today. We share this. We share the air. We share the water. We share this land. We did not create any of this. We were born into it. We inherited it. And we've got to build a better situation and find ways to make this a better place for generations to come. For if we don't, the human species will become extinct way before its time. We can do better. We must do better. We cannot depend on governments. We cannot depend on large institutions to accomplish these things. They have other interests involved. I was born under the presidency of President Eisenhower, who coined the term the military-industrial complex. There is money at stake in war, big money, great wealth. There's personal agendas in making sure that we have another enemy just around the corner. In my 60-some years of life, we've gone from one enemy to the next. Continual line of people to hate, people to be afraid of. We close doors instead of opening doors. We close borders instead of opening borders. We act as if the abundance we have is ours for some reason, and it's something instead of something that we were born into and we inherited, and it's meant for all of us to share. There's a saying that we are no stronger than our weakest link, and that link we're ignoring, and that chain's going to break. And it's not going to be good unless there are those like myself and others that stand up and say, we just haven't been doing it right. We just have not put our finger on the right resolution and done the right things to make for a more peaceful world. We cannot dress our youth up in uniforms and train them to use guns and expect a more peaceful world. We cannot close doors and refuse dialogue with those that we claim are enemies, that are different than us, and expect peace. It does not come that way. So we are the preppers of peace. The movement is to prepare the next generations for peace, to train them for peace, to indoctrinate them with peace instead of war, to glorify peacemakers over war, to stop promoting war in any way, in any fashion. I'm not saying that we'll end every conflict ever. It's not going to happen. But we can certainly make great strides to a better world and a more peaceful society by striving toward this goal. Each of us as individuals. The government is not going to do it. Big industries, not going to do it. Nowhere on this planet. They have interests that are economic. We need to set aside our economic interests and we need to focus on humanity. Human. I have traveled a lot in my life and I've never found that individual that just wanted war, that just wanted conflict. We all want the same things. We all need the same things. We all have the same physiological needs. We need food. We need water. We need shelter. All these basic things. This should be our focus instead of the focus on fear. The fear is our avoidance of seeking peace. That is the biggest fear we have, is avoiding preparing for peace instead of being in a constant motion of preparing for war. I hope everyone has a great Sunday evening, good night's rest, whatever you're doing. I hope you have a good, positive, fruitful week, productive week, and I wish you all good health. This is Dr. K. Have a good evening.